We're talking bad book adaptations. I recently dropped a short where I spoke about the worst book adaptation I ever watched, and people enjoyed it, so we're gonna make a whole video about it. Firstly, ignore this. I need new command strips. Secondly, I do have a movie club where my members can be a part of, from £1 a month to get access to the movie club, where we will watch movies that are adaptations of books. Sometimes it is the same book that we will be reading in the book club. We're not doing that this month, but that is kind of the vibe we go for. So if you are interested, you can hit join down below or on my channel. But regardless, let's get into the adaptations. We might as well start off with Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. The book, spectacular, fabulous. I loved this book. I've made a video on this book. It was a book club book, I believe, for all of us. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but it definitely was a movie club movie. And we're talking about the 1989 movie. This movie is very bad. What is worst about it is the actors clearly acted their hearts out for this movie. However, they were let down by the script. The movie follows the book up until about the halfway point, maybe just over a third. No, actually, we'll say the halfway point. That is just over a third. Maths, am I right? Unfortunately, from that point on, they completely veer off and tell a completely different story. It kills a lot of the character development you have in the first half of the movie. It kills off all of the character development that happens in the second half of the book. It takes away this really emotional core of the book and replaces it with what I assume was them trying to give more of a happy ending to the book. Even the book does have a relatively happy ending, but it's one that is twinged with grief. However, the movie is like, hey, this really emotional thing that happens, we're gutting it, and we're completely changing the story for multiple characters. It really, I don't know why they would do this, but it just sadly killed all of my enjoyment. And it's a long film, it's not short, so I got to this point and I was like, oh. Honestly, if I wasn't watching it for the movie club, I would have switched it off there and then. I was that disappointed with this movie. There is a 1997 adaptation which I haven't watched. It is a Hong Kong film adaptation. I might watch that at some point in the future, probably not for the movie club because we've already watched the 1989 version, but I am actually looking forward to watching that and hoping they handled this book way better, because Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto truly does deserve to be read, and it deserved a very good adaptation. Okay, this one is gonna hurt. We are gonna talk about Tales from Earthsea. It is a Studio Ghibli film directed by Goro Miyazaki. Mind you, the film that Hayao Miyazaki walked out of in the cinema, which, frankly, having watched this, I agree. I did drop a video on this year. I think it is one of my top, if not the top watched video of mine this year, maybe second. I will link it above and down below, and I'll put a screenshot here of the thumbnail. I think that video was 40 minutes. I'm going to try and condense that as small as I can, then you should go off and watch that. Earthsea, if you don't know, if you're new here, is my favourite fantasy book. Collection, series, cycle, whatever you want to call it. I think it is near perfect. I think even the individual books are near perfect. And Goro Miyazaki threw all of that out of the window for what Hayao Miyazaki kind of rightfully describes it as a boy trying to plead with his father. Goro Miyazaki trying to impress Hayao Miyazaki. And Hayao Miyazaki and I agree, it was so obvious what you were trying to do. You took away a story that was... Earthsea is so many things. It discusses discrimination, power, hierarchy, feminism, the patriarchy, self-discovery, self-belief, moving on in life. All of these things are addressed in Earthsea, and he rips out almost all of them. there's some saving graces. You know, there is a musical number that is added, which is beautifully, it is spectacularly sung, it is very well directed, but beyond that, there's not a lot. I think some of the voice acting, I watched it in Japanese as well, some of the voice acting doesn't suit the characters, especially considering the ages have been changed. They chopped and changed characters that were in the books to try and fit, like, they tried to basically mold many of the books into one cohesive narrative, which but they had to chop out so much of it, it doesn't really work. They basically take what I think is the best book, The Tombs of Atawan, and it's like a passing thought, but also by referencing that, they are assuming you as the viewer have read the Earthsea books, because there is a lot of weight behind when a character talks about it, but that's not there unless you've read. It's just a bad adaptation, and it really upset it, because I love those books so much. It upset me a lot more than Kitchen upset me, because I also have very high expectations of Studio Ghibli, and there's a reason Goro Miyazaki has only directed 3 movies and only one of them was decent. It's not looking good, bruv. But yeah, as someone who proselytizes for Earthsea, you should definitely go and read the Earthsea books. Don't watch this movie. Genuinely, even Kitchen, I would say it might be worth a watch if you want a slow, I guess, a romantic film. I genuinely don't think you should watch this, which is crazy because I love Studio Ghibli. I just think it's one of the worst films I have watched in a long time. And even if it wasn't an adaptation, it still felt so disjointed as a movie that if I was someone who hadn't read these books going into it, I'd be like, this doesn't feel like this narrative isn't cohesive, it doesn't make sense. There are large periods where there's nothing happening, which it can be explained through the books, but not through the movie. And finally, and I feel bad about this because this movie was pretty formative for me as a child. I watched it a lot, and also the book series did get me back into fantasy, which then led to me reading Earthsea, but it's Eragon. This is a bad adaptation. I watched it a lot as a kid because I was a Lord of the Rings kid, and there was a new movie with dragons, and I was like, oh my god, this looks so cool. And I watched it, and my blood family, elder siblings and cousins had read the books, and they were so excited, so I was excited. I only read Eragon as a kid, then 2024, maybe 2025, I read all the rest of the Eragon books. And the movie's not good. I rewatched it maybe a few months ago, and it's just not just as an adaptation is it bad, but it is bad as an adaptation. It's taken out a lot of the things that really make the world feel alive, really deep, a lot of the complicated feelings characters have for each other, and it strips it of all of that. And I get that movies have run times. You know, I am technically a trained scriptwriter, so I understand how difficult it is to get a movie into the correct runtime. But there were many parts that I felt were bloated. Like, I don't think we had to focus so much on Jeremy Irons' character. He becomes more important in the latter books, but in the first book, he has importance, he has weight, but not as much weight as later on. Some of the romance elements were played up in this book. Again, they develop in later books, which I don't know if the studio had planned to make all of the films. They probably hoped this one would bang and they would continue. If they had gone in with that assumption and assumed that we're going to be getting more movies, it could have played on that further on. Unfortunately, that's just not what happened. And it's sad because I don't think the Eragon books are amazing. I mean, I did read them all just because I was on such a fantasy hook at the time. I don't think they're amazing, but I think they are good enough in their world building that you can really mind them. Obviously, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they are being adapted into a television series. It does definitely lend itself towards a television series just because there's a lot of world building. Some of it's not amazing, but there is a lot of world building there, and I'm sure Paolini would probably expand it even further. So it's perfect for that, but obviously at the time, books weren't really being adapted into TV shows all that often, so unless it was like a Stephen King novel. So obviously it was going to be a movie. It was coming on riding the waves of Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. All those sort of things were coming out then. So yes, of course, it'll be a movie. But it still could have been adapted far better. But do you know what's a good adaptation, and it's actually really fun? There is a Game Boy Advanced Eragon video game. I recently played that. I really enjoyed it. Mechanically, in my opinion, it is really fun. Obviously, it's not probably what this channel is about, but if you are interested in video games, pick up the Eragon GBA game. I really enjoyed it, and it was a fun adaptation for me. But those were some movie adaptations that I really did not like. Two of them I'm quite passionate about. The other one I just like could have been done much better. Let me know in the comments down below any movie adaptations that you don't like of books. Just let me know in the comments down below. If you are interested in becoming a member, again, from as little as £1 a month, you can join the movie club and the book club tier. This month we are watching The Loves of Mr. Nishino, which is an adaptation of The 10 Loves of Mr. Nishino by Hiromi Kawakami, who is my favourite author. It is a Japanese movie. We watch movies from all across the world here. It has been leaning Japanese just because I read a lot of Japanese literature, but still, we are getting through them. So like I said, you can join from as little as £1 a month by hitting the join button down below or on my channel. Hopefully the members' names should have popped up. That's also a perk you get. But yeah, regardless, let me know what you thought of any of the movies I mentioned, and also the books, obviously. Let me know what you think of the books I mentioned, and also let me know any adaptations that you think are bad. I will still watch a bad movie. I will watch a movie at least once, even if it's bad. So feel free to comment them down below. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share the video with a friend or family member, and hey, I hope you read a great book today. If you are a regular watcher, you will notice my lighting is different. It's just very late and I couldn't get my lighting setup done. And also, yes, this will be replaced. If you do know somewhere that sells like bookish posters, let me know. I want to move this Evangelion one and this Naruto one there and replace them with more bookish ones and put these somewhere else for when I film the movie club. So if you got to this part of the video, you can help me out with that.